So we're a part of Sony Computer Entertainment Inc., which is a business arm of the Sony Corporation. Our headquarters are in London, and we incorporate 99 territories across Europe, Middle East, Africa, and Oceania. So it's not really Europe at all. It's kind of like PAL rather than Europe. And what is it we actually do? Well, we distribute market and sales of PlayStation 3 to PSP, and of course the PlayStation Network, which is very, very important to us. And of course the hardware across all those 99 territories. We develop, we publish, we market and distribute entertainment software and manage the third-party licensing programs, which actually, the licensing part of it, is around about 50% of our revenue. So, our industry issues. Well, we have the same issues as everybody else. We have the changing consumer consumption habits, which are changing so quickly over the last few years. We have rising development costs. These games cost a huge amount to produce, somewhere upwards of 20 million euros, taking about 18 months, teams of 200 people to create these games. The other issue is consumers, falling retail prices. People expect to get their product for less, and yet our prices to create these things are increasing. And the one that Ed's already talking about today is developer skill shortages. There are not enough people coming out of university with the skills that we need to go and feed our marketplace. So how do we interact with government? Well, as Ed said, we're doing work within the system to make us help the game design courses for universities. We're clearly still in discussion regarding development tax credits, which, before the government was all on from all parties, new government, all off. But it's a conversation that continues. IP protection, as David said, is very important to us for the industry. Online safety, the Byron report kind of made us all sit up and listen, and we will do our part for that as well. And also the use of technology in school and in health. Let's try again. Right, so what's my personal interest? Well, it goes back to 1999, and David Putnam summoned me to his office. And he said, Ray, games are really exciting, and kids love doing it. Why can't we get some of that within schools? And at that time, this is PlayStation 1 days. And of course, if you remember, our advertising at that time was Society Against PlayStation. So basically, we were anti-establishment. So from a marketing point of view, it would have been probably the worst thing that we possibly could have done. PlayStation was new, just getting established. So I thought at that time that it was not the right place to do this. Also, the PlayStation 1 was not a networked device either. So it was very, very difficult to program for, and looking at a market where we could actually develop games, very expensive games, to go into the education system was probably not the right place to be. But it always stayed in my mind as David's passion for games and in schools back in '99, which was so forward-thinking. So roll the clock forward a little bit. We'd now launched PlayStation 2, which was a very, very early network device. And that kind of changed the life a little bit, because PlayStation 1 had become market leader, and PlayStation 2 has been successful as well. So for the new boys on the block, because we only started in '95, we kind of felt that we had the ability to change our marketing position. We were no longer anti-establishment, we were now just firmly about entertainment. From a charity point of view, we've always been very, very active in this space. 2004, we committed about £700,000 to the Paddington Academy through the Academy programme that was running at the time. And in 2005, we did our first trials of PlayStation 2s in schools, and that's where I met Andy Goff of Connected, a passionate teacher who wanted to do things differently. And we learnt a lot from that. We learnt that actually a lot of things had to be in line to make these things happen. We were using the PlayStation 2 with the iToy camera to do distance learning. What we found was that although we had a reasonable network in the schools, it was costing us 50 quid to get someone to come in and plug in the PlayStation 2. So clearly this wasn't a scalable experience. So that one kind of came and went. However, I didn't want to give up at that particular point. In 2006, we engaged Connected to do some work for us. Basically, what we wanted to do is we wanted to put some trials into schools. We're not educationalists. Give people the product and say, just get on with it and play with it and see what happens. 2006, Paddington Academy finally opens. 2007, we start doing trials of PSPs in schools, which you've heard from this conference and also previous conferences. 2010, get a bit more up to date. David asked me to join the Education Technology Task Force, and of course we had exactly one meeting. He said this is an inaugural meeting and probably the last, as the government changed, and another one bites the dust. And then also in 2010, we commit to ILX, which I'll talk about in a minute. So why my personal interest? Well, there's two things, actually. Number one, my dad was a teacher. And I think actually he wanted me to go into the industry. My mum tells me that when he asked me what I wanted to do, I said either a rock and roll drummer or a playboy. I mean, clearly I failed at both of those anyway. But it was always in my mind that, you know, my dad's passion for this, there was obviously some way ingrained in my mind. But secondly, and probably more importantly, I'm a dad. So this is my daughter. This is Danielle Maguire. She was born 2 months after I joined Sony. So she's grown up completely alongside our product and the changes within our product. So I've kind of mapped where we were and where technology was through her school years. So here we are, 2002 at the Royal Masonic School for Girls in Rickmansworth, a lovely, lovely school. And interesting, Google had launched in 1998 and Wikipedia had just launched. There she is with a snake that actually did crawl all over us, but it was great fun. 2003, Awards Day at RMS. In that year, MySpace launches. 2005, clearly on a roll now, another prize day. Facebook had just launched, yes, 2005. 2006, wins a drawing competition. YouTube starts to take more market share after launching in 2005. 2007, now she's growing up a little bit. Now she has her own technology. She has her own mobile, and she has an iPod as well. So 2010, now getting considerably bigger, she uses her laptop and mobile phone as her primary mode of communication, and she lives in an always-on world. So last summer, typical summer's day, organised through Facebook, location found on GPS for those people who didn't know how to get there, weather updates because it was a bit of a dodgy day, on Twitter, loads of people came in. Still, to this day, Danielle is not allowed to use her technology in schools. So let's think about those timings, because actually it's not that long ago that this technology hit us. So the 90s was about connecting computers together. I remember when I started at Sony, we had wires going from each computer, and there were only 8 of us in the company. There's almost 2,000 now. The noughties was about connecting people together. That's the social networks. So this decade, what's this decade about? It's about connecting information. This is the rise of the semantic web. And this is really, really important because we get into the stage where some deep metadata and all our information will mean that information can find other pieces of information. And this is going to revolutionize the way that we think about just about everything. So how does this relate to Danielle's experience? So, website from day one, emails to parents in, 2007, parent portal not until 2009. IT, yes, when she started it was definitely Microsoft Office, as we've heard a million times, but now they're starting to invest in slightly more bespoke software applications for different products. Some of those are on a kind of like a license basis, so it'll be a per seat basis, so very, very expensive. From a parent point of view, they do parent and pupil classes in e-safety, to which the kids know about e-safety, and probably the parents know less about it. But actually, there's been little reason for them to invest in technology because actually their results have been pretty good. So where is the energy? Where is the kind of impetus to actually make a change from school level? Well, when is the right time to invest? Well, we've seen a dramatic shift in technology and in consumer behaviour, so we know that this is coming. And are we prepared for it? I think not. But how do we make this happen so that it delivers against education and learning-based agendas? How do we identify the benefits for students, teachers, and obviously for the country? Well, these are some of the things that we heard last year. So the Council for Industry and Higher Education, last September, the curriculum is so bad it's holding back the growth of the UK creative, digital and IT industry. The IT curriculum focuses on using word processing and office production tools rather than engaging children in understanding the computing principles that underpin games, internet services and green issues. It goes on. Royal Society report, 33% fall in pupils taking ICT, GCE courses between 2006 and 2009. This all sounds like real doom and gloom. But actually, it depends on who's looking at this issue and what they're looking at. Maybe we have a look at the public view of government as we stand here today. In today's economic situation, people are looking for the economy to get better. They're looking at their personal wealth, taxation. They're looking at health issues, funding for the national health system. They're looking at crime and national security. They're looking at potentially a decline in social values. And maybe at the end of that will be education. It certainly won't be at the top of that. And I think everyone would put these in different orders and they'll put other things above their education. But generally speaking, the public view is probably lower ranking on these than other issues that are kind of very, very pertinent now. And if we had a look at the other way around, and probably Ed would say, no, this is not right, but there's a recession and a possible double dip. So reduce public spending. Investment must show quick and positive outcomes. And we must stimulate business growth because we need to generate more excess revenue. So that takes us to this forum. Now, I've been coming to these forums for some years, and this is predicated on disruption, innovation, and learning. And the disruption, as we heard this morning, has been very, very important. When I first started, I went to the handheld learning show, as Graham remembers. And to be honest, I thought I was going to get lynched thinking about technology, especially mobile technology in schools. Getting the wind up now. My point is that we have changed. The conversations that we're having in this room are not about disruption necessarily, they're about construction. Constructing a framework in which we can bring these things together and bring the agenda to some sort of fruition. So it's from should we to how do we? And the next bit might be a little bit contentious. Revolution or revolution. When I listen to people, some very, very inspirational people like Stephen Heppel, a lot of people would say, start from scratch. I'm thinking that from a political point of view, evolution is probably more achievable. And from there, we can accelerate that evolution. So blending traditional and digital content, I believe, is a way in. But we need a platform to do that because, we are commercial businesses, as David said. So therefore, just in the same way as the people that produce your desks, your heat, light, power, your whiteboards, there's a revenue stream, so there needs to be a commercial relationship. So what would that look like? We would need to have a look at infrastructure. So that would be technology and people. So that's your broadband networks and also the people that are required to do this. It's not only home, it's not only school, it's home and school. It's out of school. It's in the workplace. Devices, where does that cost get covered from? Well, use devices that are already out there. Content is absolutely key. And I'm talking about published content. I'm also talking about user-generated content as well. And then, of course, the most important thing is how do we use this stuff and how do we blend it into the learning experience that we know so well. So, a bit of a complicated slide, but it's not that complicated. There is the year. The topics are down the side, and there are the resources that we have. I mean, this is pretty much exactly how we do things right now. All we're saying is that we need to find assets from a digital source as well. So we're not changing pedagogy, we're just trying to enhance it with digital content. So what would that actually look like? Derek talked about Glow, and we don't have that system in the UK. We do not have a single VLE system. And maybe it was because the VLE systems were put in slightly too early before technology had developed, before networks developed, and before social media and behavior had started to change. So can we afford to change all that kind of stuff? No, I don't think we can. But what we can do is we can overlay a web-based area on the top of the VLEs so that we can start to have different areas where there can be teach areas, free content, sponsored content, stuff from the venues, from the museums, etc., student areas, as we've talked about as well today. And of course, the most important, which is the purchased, which gives everyone the ability to make some revenue out of this in the same way as a textbook manufacturer does today. So quite a simple one, you might think, but actually it's a whole can of worms. Because what body is ultimately responsible for the introduction and the delivery of the national digital curriculum? I don't know. Who are the stakeholders? Well, everyone's a stakeholder, which is the issue. Because if everyone's a stakeholder, who takes control? There's all sorts of political and power, all sorts of bits and issues, of issues in there. What are the timelines? How long have we got to do this in? How is it going to be funded? How do we make it commercial? How do we deal with moderation and ongoing development? And of course, the most important thing is training support for those people using the assets that are available. So where does the economic climate leave us? Well, obviously cost conscious, we need value for money. The academic outputs that we require are more important than ever. We have a STEM agenda, but people don't even really understand now what engineering really stands for. Is it Isambard Kingdom Brunel, or is it digital creation? We are deflated after the cuts, we know that, and we're looking for relevant content to engage both students and with teachers to make jobs and learning better. So how can we help? Well, I think there has to be a private and public partnership. We have to integrate games and interactive media into the curriculum. We need to promote digital content creation as a career choice. It shouldn't be, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer. It's, I want to be a game creator as well. Use consumer-funded devices to bring content into the home. Use your portable devices, whether they're PSP, whether they're DSs, whether they're mobile phones. Bring textbooks to life using rich media. That's really important. Tap into the growing technology trends. Augmented reality, absolutely wonderful for bringing things to life. User-generated content, why not let the kids produce the content? And also 3D. By 2014, 50% of UK homes, believe it or not, will have a 3D-enabled device. It's going to happen. We have the adoption of technology, the rate of technology increasing, doing that exponential, because it's funded, because that's what we do for a living. Adoption of technology is that way because it's constrained by the amount of cash that we can spend on adopting the technology. The delta is getting bigger, folks, which is why we need to do this kind of stuff reasonably quickly. So natural digital curriculum, can we actually do it? Is it an aspiration, or is it now a reality? We have to work with the interactive industries to create the web-based experience. We can do that well. As David said, we entertain for a living. But we don't know about the other stuff which, obviously, you're in charge of. So it's a practitioner-based framework that credits and endorses approved content. So you're in control of the moderation issues. Why not broadcast out great teachers? Some of these people are stars with inspiration. We have the technology to now broadcast this across all schools. They're all network connected. Provide revision and homework aids to home through the same technology. Create an information portal that the UK can export to the world. We should be the leaders in this. We should not be following. So what will we do next? Well, we will continue our work with Connected. They're here today, and I'm sure you'll see more of them today. But further development on Second Sight, which I'll talk about in a second. We will create teacher packs for Little Big Planet. We'll develop and expand Move into the schools as well, and we'll help shape ILX to become a hub for best practice. I know he's saying, hurry, hurry, hurry. So I know I'm keeping you away from your coffee. Second Sight. So what is it? It's an augmented reality device. You put the camera onto the pattern, and it brings up an image against the background. It's as simple as that. You have the power, though, because what you can do is you can edit what rich media you assign to each pattern. which is the most important thing, because it then means that the students and the teachers can be in charge of that content. And I'll give you a couple of examples. Roxeter, bringing rocks to life by putting in images. But second sight, allowing people to be engaged in learning. Well, you'll see this kind of stuff. Some of this stuff is on the website as well. iPad, augmented reality, used on the PS3. Obviously, you've heard about iPad today. It's Foxhill. Little Big Planet, we saw that last year. Just here to tell you that Little Big Planet 2 launches on the 21st of January. So, and you'll hear more about that today. So I won't continue with that one. Collecting evidence, this is really important for us. Obviously, we are bent out of shape about measuring stuff, okay? And without measuring stuff, then, to be honest, we'll never get government engagement to get behind change. So ILX is a practitioner-based centre in conjunction with Birmingham Local Authority, supported by us. It's an independent training, research and practitioner-based body, okay? And the whole idea is that what we do is we find out what works. So we ask you to engage with us to tell us what's working. You also could come to us and say you've got an idea and you want us to try it out, which is another way of interacting with us. We've already started courses. I'm going to skip through some of these as well. That's introducing Move. Personal development courses, teachers, so it's teacher side, student side, school side. So as I said, we want to hear from schools and local authorities interested in tackling the real issues that they have in front of them. So my summary, a minute and a half, was the time is right now to do it. And in fact, we shouldn't wait too much longer, otherwise we'll be too far behind the clock. A collaborative effort is absolutely required. It's not down to us, it's not down to you alone. It needs endorsement at the highest level. So it needs someone from government to say, we will do this. It needs a budget. It needs the Department for Education to give it a budget to make it happen. And it needs to be done with a professional project team. We've done many projects, you know, of massive change. And if it's not done professionally, it splinters off. And most importantly, it will be ongoing. So that was a very, very rushed presentation. If you've got any questions, please come and see you later.